Question 12, Part A. A rectangle R has sides of 5 metres and 3 metres. So I'm just going to sketch this rectangle. So we know that a rectangle has these two sides are the same and these two sides are the same. So the length here is going to be 5 metres and the width is 3 metres. So that means that this side would be the same, so that would be 5 metres, and this side would be 3 metres. Now the perimeter is the distance around the whole shape. It's the outside of the shape. So that means I have to add up all of these measurements. So the perimeter is 5, add 5, add 3, add 3. So the perimeter for this rectangle, rectangle R, is 16 metres. It's asking me to draw a sketch of a different rectangle that has the same perimeter. So a different rectangle means it will be a rectangle, but it will have different measurements. So it won't be the length of 5 and the width of 3. And it must have the same perimeter. So when I add up all the sides of my new triangle, they must add up to 16. And I must write down the length of each of those 4 sides to get the marks. So I'm going to draw my new triangle. So I could use, instead of using 5 for the length, I could use 6. If this is 6 metres, then I know that this must also be 6 metres. So 6 and 6 make 12. So I've only got 4 left to make 16 now. So if these two have to be the same, then this one must be 2 and this one must be 2. So adding those up, 2 and 6 is 8 and 2 is 10 and 6 is 16. So this is a different triangle because it has different measurements, but it has the same perimeter as the previous rectangle. You could also have different measurements here. You could have 7 metres by 1. And that will also give you the mark. So this is a 2-mark question. The examiner will give you 1 mark if you have the sketch of a rectangle with the perimeter of 16, and your units. So you will lose a mark if you don't have your units or the measurements for each of these sides. Okay. Both the length and width of rectangle R are exactly doubled. So this was rectangle R up here. Does this mean that the area is also exactly doubled? You must show enough working to justify your answer. So I have to justify my answer here, so I have to show my workings very clearly. So the length and width are doubled. Does this mean that the area is also doubled? So if I double these measurements here, so my new rectangle would be, well, this would be 5 and this would be 3. This was the original rectangle. And the new rectangle, if I doubled it, this would be 10 metres, because 5 times 2 is 10, and this would be 6 metres, because 3 times 2 is 6. So if I now, the question was asking me, is the area also exactly doubled? So we know to work out the area, we have to do the length times the width, and it's always in centimetres or whatever measurement it is squared, because we're timesing two measurements together. So here it would be 5 times 3, which would be 15 metres. The measurements are in here, 15 metres squared. But then this one, I'm going to times the length and the width. That would be 10 times 6. So the area for this rectangle would be 60 metres squared. So therefore, if I doubled the length and the width in that rectangle, the area is not doubled, because 15 times 2 is 30 metres squared. So the area would not be doubled. So I've shown enough workings here to get the 2 marks. So if the examiner sees that you've drawn the triangles or showed that you've doubled the measurements and worked out the area of 15 metres squared, they will give you 1 mark. And then if you've worked out that this is 60 metres squared and you've said that it is not doubled, it's important that you have to say that it's not doubled, they will give you the 2nd mark.